The walls of my house are very full of my artworks. There's two reasons for that. One of them is that I need to store them somewhere, and what better place, I could put them in a corner and have them gathering dust, but why not just stick them on a wall where they're out of the way? But partly because I like them. I know when an artwork is finished because I like it, and it serves some purpose for me. It's something in my brain has made its way out onto a canvas, and every one of these artworks to some degree means something to me. And I don't love all of them. There's a lot of stuff on display here, but they all have some meaning some point in my life, and I like to experience them. It's almost like reading a diary. You pick up a diary that you might have written in 10, 20 years ago, and you get a sense of who you were then and what was going on in your head and what your life is about. And I think, I can line my artworks up in a very, very long row and it would read a slightly warped autobiography. And so for me, it's not just about, just here's a nice picture. It has a lot of meaning. And some of these are very, very personal. In fact, this one behind me, I don't know if you can see, but this is my dad, a picture of my dad when he was probably in his 30s. So a lot of my artworks have elements of collage in them, and things like that will find their way into my artworks. So they're not just an object of beauty. It's actually something that's got a lot of meaning to me anyway. And I think people might read their own meanings into my stuff, but they have a very specific meaning to me. I've always made art. Art is a form of therapy for me. I didn't really know that's the role it played in my life. I first started drawing after seeing a friend of mine when I was, 11, 12. He'd make these really gruesome pictures of vampires and superheroes and stuff, and I was absolutely mesmerised by these. And just the idea that these things I would see in comics and movie posters and stuff could exist. They could be made. Some human made those, and after seeing my friend do it, I was like, well, I want to be able to do that. So I started off making, fairly rudimentary drawings of weird stuff, and then it just sort of snowballed from there. I think I really, really enjoyed the process, and as I got better and better and better at it, it became fulfilling in its own right. And I had a fairly troubled childhood, being an undiagnosed autistic ADHD. I was an August baby, so I was always the youngest in the year. So I found school very difficult. I was badly bullied, and so art for me was my refuge, where I could go and lock myself in my bedroom and make pictures of stuff that made me happy, and it made the world disappear. I would absolutely focus on that, and all my problems would disappear for a while. And I kept on doing that, right into my 20s, having done it, for GCSE A level, and then just got distracted by life. I was at some point going to be a film director or something. I don't know. I had lots of different ambitions and hobbies, but I sort of stopped making art regularly in my mid-20s, went off, travelled the world, found myself a career in computers, of all things. And then in 2018, I had my first diagnosis of ADHD, and I was, at that point I got a therapist, and I had a conversation with her where she was saying to me, you need something that can help you focus and that can help you regulate a bit, something you find relaxing, that will help manage the mental health problems that I was having. And I was like, well, I used to paint, I used to draw, I used to be do a lot of art. And she was like, oh, that sounds like a good idea, why don't you do that, why don't you try that again? So I went off, came back a month later and said to her, yeah, look, I've been doing some art, I've done it, I'm really into it, I really love doing this. Look, I brought some along to show you, and you could sort of hear the sharp intake of breath. Oh, right, I'm now going to have to pretend I really like your crappy stickmen drawing or something, and I produced stuff that looked like this, because it was like riding a bike. I just got back on it again and started making pictures, and I was good at it, and she was just gobsmacked. She was like, how did you do this? And it just took on momentum from there. I just kept going and never had any idea that I would be selling my art or displaying it in galleries or have a solo show. It just was not in my mind. I was doing this because it made me happy, and it made me feel calm. And but then I kept on accumulating all these artworks, and God knows, I haven't counted, but there's got to be about 70 or 80 in here, all of which were produced between 2018 and now. And this is not even my whole collection, it's just a fraction of it. So I've got to do something with it. You know what I mean? I can't just keep it in piles in my house. So I try and sell it. I don't sell a lot, so I keep accumulating it, but I do get rid of some every now and again, and I make a little bit of money, but I don't get to quit my day job yet, unfortunately. I've tried basically every medium, and that would include pencils, pastels, oil paints, acrylics, watercolour, you name it, I've tried it. And every time something new comes on, I've tried that too. I hadn't recently discovered cyanotypes, trying that. I like to experiment, but the vast majority of the artworks around are some combination of acrylic paints and inks and spray paints, and usually some collage elements. Strictly speaking, I don't constrain myself, but for example, I won't use oil paints because they take too long to dry. The oil paints take months to dry, whereas acrylic paints dry in minutes. And I'm so impatient that I can't wait for oil paints to dry. It drives me nuts. So I very, very, very rarely use oil paints. And so, you know, I've got a sort of selection of stuff that allows me to get my ideas out quickly and in a way that I can control the medium. And then I just accumulate stuff. I'm a bit of a hoarder, and so I've got piles of magazines and newspapers and stuff, and I've got literally tens of thousands of digital images, and it's all there for stimulus, for ideas. And a lot of the time I just print stuff out or cut it out of a magazine. I was like, I really like this, or I either scale it up or I'll just stick it straight onto the canvas because I like it, right? I just want that in there somewhere because it means something, or I just like how it looks. And then I've got, because of my day job, I'm a data analyst, data scientist. I work with artificial intelligence, machine learning, algorithms, that type of stuff, and I really love doing that. Really, the purpose of my job is to understand data, but it comes with all these tools that can be used in other domains. And so I've got my own sort of generative AI neural network algorithm that I built myself, that takes in random images from my digital image collection and mangles them up with other images in really weird, exotic ways, and that gives me loads of stimulus for you know, artworks and ways, you know, to make things look, and ways to construct things like themes and composition within artworks. And some of these I literally just scale up, print out, stick to the canvas, and then just embellish on top of it with paints. And it's all part of a long creative process. You collect images, you use programming to develop software that allows you to play with those, sorting through all the things that it generates. It generates literally thousands of images, which I choose the ones I like, colorizing them, and then figuring out what to do with it. It might look like, oh, you've just, you know, taken something from a computer and stuck it to a canvas, but it's part of a very, very, very long drawn out process, ongoing process. And a lot of the themes and the things that come out of that process will resurface. So what you'll often see with my artworks is you'll see either the same images making multiple appearances in different sizes, in different forms, or literally paintings within paintings. And things that I sort of quite like the idea of themes and motifs running through the work, where things literally turn up again over and over again. Sort of taken a bit from graffiti art, a bit from pop art. I really inspired by a lot of the pop artists, Warhol, Lichtenstein, and so on. I didn't set out to be a pop artist. I didn't set out to be like them. And I only really sort of discovered them properly recently, but I look back and go, well, that's what I do. I think like these people. I think like I take things from the world and I try and make something else with them. So a lot of movie stars turn up, bits of things from comics. I'm really interested in like the fashion world, the iconography of fame, movie posters, pulp book cover art. You know, my biggest inspiration is probably from like 1930s to 1950s science fiction, horror, thriller cover arts from movies and books, and then Art Nouveau, Art Deco, which is why it's so amazing to be showing in this room in an Art Deco cinema. All of these elements are like a big melting pot in my brain, and they just spill out in different degrees. I mean, I would love to be making beautiful, you know, flowing organic illustrations like someone like Alphonse Mucha, but I can't. I'm not really configured like that. So the same urges come out in a different way, and in literally hundreds of different ways if you look around it. I'm literally astounded about how many artworks there are up in here, and that's not even all of them.